That's an important thing I think we should bring up. The reason that we're not sitting together right now doing this podcast is because you're not allowed to leave the state.
Yeah. So if the story behind that is my mayor and city council are fraud, waste, and abuse of government resources, taxpayer money. They're doing using something called tax increment financing, which, if you look into it, it's taking possible future taxes and using that money now and then increasing the taxes to pay it back later. Well, they've been giving money to out-of-state developers and people coming in from out of state. There's a guy from Wisconsin named Nick Jakota whose father made money by selling faulty medical equipment and then was exiled from Wisconsin while running for Congress because he was so corrupt. He's here in Missoula and he wants to be this music mogul. He wants to make Missoula some sort of music venue place. And the city council was going to give him $17 million in tax money to build a failed business that was going to be under his control for 70 years. And we were going to pay it back after 70 years. Well, also, we've got a bank called Stockman's Bank that was given $4.4 million in tax money to build their building. And the First Interstate Bank of Montana was given $1.5 million of taxpayer money to build their bank when they could have done it themselves, right? The whole point of being a business person is to make those investments and build the business yourself. And it's increased the cost of living in Missoula has skyrocketed since Engen has become mayor. And there are 120 plus houses on the market and only 17 of them are below
Sorry, you broke up for that last part. Would you say there's 17
houses that are below $1 million on the market right now in my own hometown? And the median income in Missoula is less than $40,000.
Whoa.
So I yelled at the mayor for basically stealing money and giving it to the wealthy, like the sheriff of Nottingham. And they put me in jail for a month. So
how did you yell at the mayor? Where were you?
I was just at a city council meeting.
Okay.
And I told them, I told them the story. I don't know. So I make a lot of biblical references because I was trained in the biblical mythology. But King David is my favorite biblical character. And King David is the man who's called a man after God's own heart. The only one in the Bible, in fact, called that. And he was an adulterer, a liar, a scoundrel, but he was king. And the reason why he was called a man after God's own heart, because he was repentant. And the prophet Nathan, who was the prophet during that time, came into David and told the story. He says, there was once a rich man with 99 sheep and a poor man with one. And the rich man was having guests come over to his house. So he goes out to his land and sees his 99 sheep. But he sees that the poor man's one sheep is greater than all of his 99. So he takes the poor man's sheep and serves him up to his guest and leaves the poor man destitute with nothing. And I was like, do you guys understand this? And I'd been going to the city council meetings for about 2 months at that time. And they didn't listen. They were all bought off. They were all there for popularity contest. They fucked up Missoula. Like they literally have fucked up Missoula. Jackson Construction Company, a developer, the Mayor Engen has been giving them money and got his apartment, his condominium under market price for working with them through an LLC, a shell company. And so I exposed all this. And so I was like, do you understand the story? Do you understand what it is that I'm telling you? And they just kind of were like, they were on their cell phones, they were on their computer. And I was like, you are that rich man. And I yelled at him. And I was like, you have stolen from my home. You have stolen from my community. Like my grandparents had to sell their family home. My grandparents had to sell their family home. My uncle had to sell my great-grandparents' home because they can no longer afford to pay the property taxes here. You know, we've been here since the 70s. My grandpa led Hellgate High School to its first state champion. Legendary. My
It's
grandpa
called
has taken
Hellgate.
Hellgate High School. Yeah,
Wow, what a great name.
we're actually where the city of Missoula, the entryway to the city of Missoula is called Hellgate Canyon.
Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Um,
There's a beach right down the street from here that we call the Gates of Hell, because it's Junction 666.
that's cool.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah,
Anyways.
it's called Hellgate Canyon because when the settlers were coming through, the Native Americans would kill all the settlers and just leave their corpses.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah,
Holy shit.
yeah. Um, so like my family, my mom has been a teacher. My grandpa was a teacher at Hellgate, a biology teacher. My mom has been a teacher in the Montana School District for almost 25 years now. I was going to be a teacher. My grandfather was a minister, helped build a couple of churches here. Also, my father is a rancher who owns 10,000 acres up 40 miles from here. My family has deep, deep, deep connections here, and people are leaving because they can't afford to live here anymore because wealthy people from out of state are coming in and buying the politicians. And the people that are the slumlords that are here, they force people to pay exorbitant rents, but pretty much all the people that live here live in squalor at their slums. Uh, my sister moved out of a place that this guy, he has multiple boats, he has four-wheelers and snowmobiles and a large truck, and he could barely be bothered to go and fix anything that they had wrong with their apartment. Like their apartment was falling apart. And so I yelled at the mayor, and they jailed me for inciting improper influence of a government official, is what they said.
They arrested you right there on the spot?
No, they put out a warrant for my arrest, and I turned myself in because I was like, "You guys are
Hmm.
fucking stupid. Like, this is so dumb." They put me in jail for a month. And it's been a year. It'll be a year and a half before I get my trial. And the reason being is because they don't have anything. Like, they're oh, so one of the things that people don't know is that Kalispell, Montana is actually a hub for drone development. And there's a lot of money and people wanting to put me in jail and punish me for what I did. Right. And if they put me in jail, then I lose all my medical benefits from the VA, which is how I survive right now. So if I go to jail, then I get all my benefits taken away. If they convict me of a felony, I'm no longer eligible for benefits, and I'm basically going to be a poor man on the street.
They can silence you effectively.
Yeah. But
Do you think this is specifically tied to your whistleblowing and speaking out about the drone programs and all of this?
oh, absolutely. The guy who got me into speaking out at the city council meeting, he actually told me that he's like, "You're probably going to go to jail," and I was like, "I'm not going to do anything to go to jail." But the guy set me up. The guy was a government agent that was specifically set me up to go to jail. He told me that I was going to go to jail. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that are fucking pissed at me. They want me to suffer. They want to punish me. And they're pissed off that I haven't faced any consequences for my action. But you're going to punish someone for telling the truth when it's these people who are fraud, waste, and abuse of government resources. They're murdering people. Like the consequences for that are more dire than having the truth revealed. Because if the consequences, for stealing money from the community, that means that the community is undermined. We look at what happened with the coronavirus. Like we should have had a pandemic team in place to show us and tell us how we're supposed to deal with the situation and have proper guidelines. But we have people dying all over the place. We have hospitals that are overrun and CEOs that are, well, we can't make money off of this, so they're writing people as getting the coronavirus, but they're not taking care of people because they're getting money from the government, like bare money from the government, but they're so greedy that they don't want to spend any of that money on what it's actually supposed to be spent on. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I had thought that my own reputation would save me from dire consequences because A, I'm not sitting here trying to incite violence. I'm not sitting here trying to attack people. Like, I'm standing my ground, which is what you're supposed to do, right? I will defend myself and I will defend others, but I will first make sure that if you are going to be in these positions of power, that you will, I don't want their job. I want them to do their job right. Because if they don't do their job right, I suffer the consequences. My community suffers the consequences, you know? And that's not what I want to do. I've traveled all over the world. I've seen what happens in places like Egypt and Europe and even other places of the United States where corrupt politicians just build concrete cities and they don't take care of their people. There's homelessness everywhere. Mayor Engen ran on this in 2012. He ran on this uh, to get to lower homelessness in Missoula. Well, homelessness has increased like 400% in Missoula, and they've done nothing to elevate, right? And so we have all these wealthy people coming in. The person that he is grooming to run for mayor next is a woman from Wisconsin named Gwen Jones. And Gwen Jones is what she has done. Anytime anyone goes to city council and talks out at city council, she looks them up on the internet and will go to the place that they work with and get them fired. She'll be like, if you don't fire your worker for what he's done, I'm going to ruin your business. She'll do that. You know, she was the reason. She and a guy named Brian von Lossberg are the reason why I was put in jail in the first place, because they actually found my stalker's videos of me and used my stalker's videos as a reason to put me away. Which is exciting to me because now my stalker is going to have to admit in the court of law whether or not what he was saying was true or not. And this guy has been inciting violence against me. He's actually tried to get veterans to come and kill me and my family.